And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Sandielyn Taylor, who before her near-death experience was a pagan, and now she's a Christian. Sandielyn, thank you for joining me, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Sandielyn, do you need a little backstory before we get started, or would you like to go right into your NDE?
Yes, I'm going to give a backstory for a little bit, and then we can go ahead to my NDE.
Okay.
All right. So I was born and raised as a pagan, and I was 12 years old when I first heard the gospel and accepted Jesus as my savior. But then after a lot of things happened because I was abandoned by my parents when I was 1.5 years old and gone through so much abuse. And because of that, I really turned away from everything about faith, about grace, about God, and that's where everything in my life turned dark. But during that time, actually, Jeff, when I was 5 years old, I saw an open heaven on the window, and I saw Jesus. But no one told me about Jesus. No one really talked about or have it because I was born and raised as a pagan. But then after all that, that was it. And then yes, I lived my life doing my own way.
So if we fast forward your life, when did you have the NDE?
This was the time when I was college. Um, I was so longing for some like spiritual activity. It's like something that I'm always like have that hunger to really find or look for something. And then I met my friend. She was wicked, and so one time she gave me this chant, and she asked me to read it. And during that night when I read it, nothing really happened. But after that, because I have no knowledge about it, not educated, just ignorant, so that's where I opened a portal accidentally. And that's where I started to do a lot of astral travels, gone to different realms. But the point where I really had an NDE is when I couldn't take that anymore, Jeff, because having a lot of astral realm, astral travel, like my body really gets sick and my mind is like really confused if this is what is real. Like, is this world is an illusion, or that world is an illusion, or what is really real? And because of that, I stopped my college, Jeff, and then I get sick. And this was the time where I barely even eat. I was always alone in our house in Philippines. Um, so there was this one afternoon. I took a nap, and it's a very very hot day. I believe I had a heat stroke at this time, but I really couldn't remember the detail much. But I was just really, feel that like my chest started to really get that stop or something, and then I took a nap in that afternoon and I fell asleep. And this is where it started. So I thought actually I was in my normal house, and then in outside in our door I was thinking I need to go outside. I just want to breathe. And so when I opened the door of our house, I was totally shocked, Jeff, because as I opened the door I was in a different world. And in this place, this is the best how I can describe it. So I stepped in, but I was still confused. And then the first thing that I saw is um I look up and there is no sky. So if I can describe that place, it doesn't have a sky, but it looks like it has a glass, but the material looks like watery. So if you can imagine, that's a place where no sky. It's just like a watery glass material that's just there up there. And then the worst thing that I noticed while I'm looking there, there's so many black like legion of birds hovering on that on above that place. So when you know you were in the other realm, it's like when you focus on something, it's like you're getting a vision that is so enhanced that as I intently look at the bird, I just realized it's not a bird. I realized it's like a human looking demon bat, and the face is really horrible. Like it's just, and imagine like it's like a millions or like a legions of them hovering on that place. And then when I was walking into the very dry, cracked ground. It's just really dead. Like there's nothing in there. And so every time I run, Jeff, I saw this tree. And this tree, every time I run, trying to go back to my house to kind of really escape from this horrible place, I keep on coming back to the tree. And it looks like an ancient tree, but when I do a research about that now, presently, I found out that that tree is a portal to another realm, and so that's why I keep on coming back and I keep on running from northeast, southwest, but everywhere I go, I'm just stuck. I'm always like going back to that tree, and it's really, really drives drives my head crazy. So that's my first NDE, Jeff, and then after that, there was this another time in school. This is where I'm starting to really get sick, and I am in my college classroom at the time, waiting for my teacher and for my classmates, and I fell asleep on the desk of our school, and then it happened again. It's like something that I couldn't control. It's just it happened. So I saw this place again, no sky, just watery looking glass um above, and then that's hovering looking demon like a legion of them, and they're hovering, and then the dry and cracked ground is really dead. And then when I was at that place, I saw many souls. I can say it's souls, it's not people, because in my inner knowing, I think they are dead, but they were like their clothes is so dirty, like unimaginably, like like rotten or tattered. And then actually also like they have shackles, and they were lining up their face. They look like they were in the trance. It's like they were in deep sleep, but they keep on walking, like walking, and Jeff, the atmosphere of that place and the look of the people's face is like the most um sad, misery, gloom, all kinds of, unexplainable heaviness that is in that place. Like you can never imagine that. I've never seen, because here on earth we might have problem or sadness or depression, but that is just like hopelessness. That's I can say that how the people look like. And then on the front of them, I noticed, Jeff, there is that huge looking like angelic form, but it is not like a a good angel. It looks like a very dark looking angel, and she have like a look like a staff, like he looks like a giant shepherd like that, and those souls look like a flock, and then he's leading them to their doom. So while their souls is marching and marching, they go into this big giant mouth that is so dark, and they keep on falling and falling there. So while I'm seeing this, I'm trying to stop them. I'm trying to say, guys, wake up, you're going to fall, you're going to die. But Jeff, this is how I can describe this. Like no one really sees me, even though I am in there, because I felt like if you imagine a fish inside the aquarium, so I was that fish, and like the environment where I am in is where things are happening, but I was just in that like a place like just a glass like that, because I'm trying to to wake them up, trying to smash that, but they couldn't hear me. And then I was thinking of myself like that, like, okay, I just wanted to go back. I just wanted to go back, like that. I really have no vivid or clear memory of how I got back, but this is how I got back. So my teacher is waking me up, and all my classmates face, they're laughing at me because they said I've been there for 45 hours, 45 minutes. I'm sorry, 45 minutes. They're trying to wake me up, and I was really not conscious. And they was like checking me if I'm breathing or something. They thought I'm dead. And you know, Jeff, after that experience, the very first thing that I really asked, that I really grabbed is water, because I felt like all my nerves in my body, it feels so like so used up, and then I feel very very dry. My throat is like dry, and like I feel like the very first time I started to breathe, but my oxygen in my brain, I feel like it's shutting down, or trying to keep myself awake because I do not want to go back to that place. So yeah, so that those are my two experience at that time, Jeff, when I was college. And I couldn't explain why, and how things happen like that.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us, Sandielyn. If we go back right before your first NDE, you mentioned that you opened up a portal. Can you describe what the portal looked like?
When I first saw that, um it actually, Jeff, it the portal is like different. It's like sometimes it looks like an ancient door. It's like a very old ancient door, that is made of material that's not in our world. And then sometimes it looks like just a giant, tornado that's kind of like just swirling on the sky, you know. And then sometimes it just looks like an ordinary object, Jeff. Like I thought I'm looking at my mirror, and then suddenly I was just, you know, um, just got stuck in. So sometimes it's an object, sometimes it's just looking like what I said, and a door, and then sometimes actually it is some kind of stranger, a spirit that just asking me to come and show something. So yeah, so portals are really different for me at that time. Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Would you say that these experiences are different from a dream?
Yes, totally different, because actually, Jeff, um this is where I found out that my experience is not a dream, is because it's manifested in real life. I will give you one example of what happened to me. So when I gone to an astral projection, I saw, like, I was watching in the mirror. And so when I was, wiping that mirror, I saw this child, and then he asked me to follow him. So I followed him, and then I saw this huge mango tree. And then he went into his house. And in his house, he looked at me, and there's a coffin, like a casket. And then after that, I heard a big tug, like that, like someone was being hit on the head. And then when it happened, there's this woman screaming, and there's this one guy hit the head of the other guy, and then the other guy fell, and there's blood, and the woman is screaming, and no one is really helping this woman. But it's just so weird to me that how am I seeing this, and I even don't know what is the purpose why I'm seeing this, and who these people, but they are really real, Jeff. Because I was a teacher in Philippines at that time. This is my first time, in the school, and we have a guard in at the gate of the school. And then this student of mine, which is the boy, because it's my first time, I was really completely didn't remember all their faces. Um, he his father is that guard in our school. And then one day, they have an announcement to the school and said that we are going to a funeral because our guard died. And so while they're going there, actually, I was walking in exactly what I saw, how it happened, and how they are talking about, because I'm listening how they are talking about how things happen. So that boy is one of my students, and when we were walking in their house, going to their house, I saw this really huge mango tree. I was like, this is exactly what I saw. And then when we entered their house, that's exactly how he looked at me when he is standing at the casket of his dad. And what happened there is, I think the mother of the boy have another affair. And so that guy hit the head of the husband died. And so that happened is where exactly where it got hit, where we see the blood, and where the crime scene happened. And this, Jeff, happened to me so many times that if not the detail of the person that's going to die that I'm going to see, if it's not in our world, it's somewhere in another realm. So that's why I can really say it's not just a dream, because sometimes really it manifests in real life. Yeah.
You mentioned that you've been astral traveling before.
Hmm.
Do you think that this realm that you went to during your NDE was one of the lower astral realms, or would you consider it hell?
Yes, that is a very good question, because I think based on how I can understand that place, like what you say, it's like the surface of hell, like just that first surface of hell. That's how I can really say that. Yeah,
So you think there are layers of hell?
I think so, because um there are because I have innumerable of these astral projections. There are like those, like really there's fire and darkness and smoke that you could ever never imagine. And that's really hell. For me, that's really hell. But this one that I'm seeing is like where the soul is being prepared to go to where they are really exactly where they're needed. Because there's this one that I went to, Jeff, in my astral projection, that I don't know if you will take this, but this is how I can really say as the best as I can describe it. These are like a cell, or like a prison. That one of my NDE, I saw this very long stairs. It's like you cannot really see where it goes, where it ends, where it starts. It's just a very long stairs. And in that stairs, when you keep on going, there are lots of cells, and like a prison, like for different souls that was stuck in that place. And yeah, so yeah, that's how I can describe it.
You mentioned how you kind of came back during the second NDE, but you didn't mention anything about coming back during the first one. Do you
Yeah,
recall coming back or?
it's like actually when I just came back, the first one, this is how the best I can recall the first one when I come back, because I was really hot that time. But it's like I am seeing this fan, and then I feel like I was stuck inside that electric fan. You know the fan, right? So
Mhm.
it feels like I was that kind of light or something. I got go back to that fan, because after going back to that fan, because I just need to come back. I said I need to focus on it, on coming back. So I just focused on looking at the electric fan, and I feel like I stuck into that, and then I go up all the way to my feet. I saw like actually I don't realize it's my body before, but I saw like it's a big feet like that, and I keep like kind of like going back, and then I was just open my eyes, and that's it. That's how I can describe how I come back at the time. Yeah,
During your second NDE, you saw all these souls, and I think you said they were chained together.
yeah.
Besides seeing them, did you hear anything? Like, were they making any sounds or anything?
No, it was all I just remember is the smell. It's like it smells so thick, you can taste it. It's really not a very pleasant smell. But I don't hear any screaming or any sounds. I feel like I'm in the glass, like what I said. Like even though like I was in the fish in that bowl, even though I am seeing what's happening surround me, I was in there. I was like just in there, and I was just trying to ask them to wake up like that.
I had another experiencer describe something similar, and he saw people standing in long lines in pain or agony, and he said it was like all hot and sweaty there and like miserable. So that's why I thought maybe yours would be similar.
It somehow I was just like seeing this thing, but I was really like in that glass. That's how I can describe it, because like what I said to you, I'm like that fish inside that golden, I mean that bowl. But it's like when you are a fish, you are seeing things around you, but you're just limited with with where you are. That's how I can describe it. Yeah, but
So
I couldn't get the smell.
it's kind of like you were separated from them through like an invisible glass-like barrier.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, yeah, something like that. Because how I can say is this: every time I try to go and to stop them, I wanted to grab, and stop them, like, hey, stop, stop, like that. I couldn't get out of that glass. It's like I'm just stuck there, and it feels like they do not hear me at all, no matter how many times I scream. So I feel like, yeah, like there's that, division, that, yeah.
Now, you're from the Philippines, and I thought the Philippines is a predominantly Catholic country.
Yes.
So how did you wind up growing up a pagan?
Yes. So that's true, Jeff. Actually, growing up, Philippines is 80% Catholic, and the rest are born and raised as a pagan. So I was in that group, on that minority part of the group, where we believe more on, nature spirit, and practices like um it's kind of hard to explain. I cannot grab an English term for that, but it's more like animism, spirit. We believe in fallen angels and stuff like that, and contacting through medium. And we don't go to hospital, or we go to witch doctors. So yeah, we are that.
Makes sense. I just didn't realize that the percentage of pagans in the Philippines was so high. I expected it to be probably 5% or less.
What you need to understand, Jeff, even though we are Catholic, our practices as most Catholic are also pagan. We are pagan in many ways. In our Catholic Church, we have a candle where it looks like a human form, and so we put it inside the church. And it's actually, we are more motivated by fear. And even though it's a Catholic, um the priest even like tell to the people, yeah, you can consult to the witchcraft or whatever, and also like there are just certain prayers like you know um not really a Catholic prayer. So that's how I can say, because I remember joining in those Catholic, and then one of us, they gave us this Latin paper, rolled it, and then put it in our mouth to drink. So yeah, even though you say, oh, there's a lot of Catholic in Philippines, but majority of the Catholic, especially if you live in a remote area like me, I live in a country in Philippines. So that's why sometimes, since we are far from the Catholic churches, we just going to have or form our own pagan practices. Or instead of going to the hospital, we're just going to do and go to the witch doctor. So yeah, so that's how it is.
Do you feel like your NDE was a warning to you to change your way, or just an accident that you ended up there?
I believe it is an accident, because I was ignorant and curious when I was college. I was like seeking for for what do you call that, something. I'm seeking for something that is not of this world. I've been on that quest of searching something. Yeah, but like what I said, I think it's an accident.
So how did your life change after your second NDE?
After my second NDE, it really didn't change much, Jeff, until when I was 17. And that is really the highlights of all events that happened to my life. That is the first time I met my father. And it is like a manifestation of um coming back to my father in heaven, because the image, I don't really have the image of the father, Jeff. So I was both always think that father is something that um my question to God and my question to my dad is the same. Like, where were you when I was abused and tortured? Where were you, you know, when I feel lost and in pain and abandoned? So those are the questions, and that was the time when I was 17. It is the highlights of everything that happened to me, Jeff. And I think that is where the started point. Jeff, I remember this. I was 12 at the time, and I said to God, um, because we were pagan, and I was not allowed to really go to my Christian faith or church. There's also a Christian church that time, but very few. But I was not allowed by someone who took care of me at the time. So I told God, when I'm 18, I'm just going to come back to you. That's what I remember. But I forget that promises to God. But God remembers, because like what I said, when I was 17 years old, that's where it's like hell leash, like everything happens to me at that year. Yeah, so Jeff, I wanted to also tell you, during that 17 years old, I ran away from our house. And yeah, I've been stopped my college for 3 years. Yeah, so 17 years old, I think, is where I started to really think my life over.
It's interesting because I would have thought that you would have immediately changed and stopped being pagan, but those NDEs didn't change you.
Yes, yes, it didn't change me. Um, it's not something that happened to me like that instant. Like especially I'm not really educated about it, like what I said, and I was really don't know what's really happening to me at that time.
Did you notice after your NDEs that you had any new abilities that could be considered psychic?
I noticed that, Jeff, and that's why I was really, like what I said, I was really scared of what's going on. I really noticed that. It's like everything in me was heightened. Like sometimes there's an event that's about to come, and I'm already seeing it before it comes. And sometimes when I was seeing someone, um, I was seeing the condition of where she is in the spiritual realm. Like I'm giving you an example. There was this boy that I saw, like he's about to cross on that river, but it's a river that is not in our world, but it's like a river of, like, when someone died that needs to cross on that place, something like that. I was really not understanding all this. It's only by the grace of God, I believe, that I really come back. It's not my own way that I come back or change because of my end. It's like I think that the supernatural power of God that really get me out of that very dark place.
If you had been a practicing Catholic during your NDE, what do you think you would have seen?
I'm not sure, Jeff, if because I was actually, when I was high school, um we were in Catholic school, like, and Catholic school is like um teaching us to kind of do about this, about, but it has so many added things which really didn't help me a lot. So, like what I said, I can really see the difference of the Catholic here in America and the Catholic in Philippines way back that time. And also at that time of, during that period of mine, I think, everyone is still growing up with the knowledge of things and faith.
Was there an event that caused you to abandon being a pagan?
Yes. Um, this is the time where, Jeff, like I was so desperate. Like I was at the end of myself. Like meeting my dad for the first time, and I was, full of hate. By the way, Jeff, my dad, he's a drug addict most of his life. And then when I met him, he's a pastor. But I was full of hate and unforgiveness at that time. And during that 3 years that I ran away from home, I ended up, and I'm not sure how did I ended up. I ended up in a pastoral house, and in that place, they are the only one who accept me. And my first ministry is mopping the floor of the church. And then there was this pastor that really saw me, and he can really say that, you've been into the dark place, your eyes uh has that full of darkness. And then that's where they started to help me to every day for 3 years, Jeff. I was soaked in seeking God in the morning to pray, and then understanding, reading the Bible, and then come to the point that the Holy Spirit keeps on speaking to me about the forgiveness, because forgiveness is the hardest thing for me at that time. Because you know I think that's actually what is going to hinder you from really, like, that freedom that you will have. Because I had unforgiveness to my dad, to my mom, to the people that abused me. But after that 3 years, Jeff, that's where things changed. My mindset also, and then I just, feel that joy, that peace I've never felt in my whole life. And then um this is a supernatural thing that when I met my mom and my dad, I forgave them. I met those abusers, I forgave them. That's a supernatural work. And as soon as that happened, Jeff, that's where things changed in my life. And it's like the word that they said, that things fall in the right places. Yeah, so that's where it started.
I guess it's best to say that forgiveness is one of the most powerful healing tools.
Yes, yes. That's the instrument that is being used to me to really have that, understand that freedom.
Later in your life, you became a missionary to Korea. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So this is my first time um to that school. I was just less than a year being a teacher. And then they asked me if I want to go to Korea. Um my first answer is I'm going to pray about it. And the second. And then the third one, Jeff, I had a dream. In my dream, I saw I'm feeding a fish. And this fish says to me, Mashita, which I have no knowledge about that language, but now I know since I can also speak Korea, which means delicious. So that is my goal, like a sign that I need to go. And then when I went to as a missionary in Korea, the provision is so smooth, Jeff. I was there, and for that 3 years, we started from 4 kids, and then got to 60, and then I trained teachers, and everything was just blessed productively, fruitfully, and I leave the place with such really a beautiful chapter of my life. And also one thing I learned as a missionary before is that God worked on my abandonment issue and on my trust issue. That sometimes being alone actually is not really a sad or frightening thing. It's a way of how, that isolation period of your life is where God really builds me to be strong.
During your astral travels, did you ever go to heaven?
Yes. When I was pagan, no, I never even smelled heaven at the time, because I think those darkness, unforgiveness and those negative things, that trauma, abuse, I think that's what keeping me. It's like a veil that's keeping me. This is when I got delivered, and I was stuck for 3 years in that church. When I stopped my college.
Did you still continue practicing astral traveling after you became Christian?
No, this is the difference, Jeff. Actually, because the astral travel that happened to me, I didn't practice it. It's like something that just That's just in me. It's like just inborn in me. And when I open that thing, it gives me so much, you know, that I couldn't take that power, or, I don't want that. I just want to be a normal person. But then when I became a Christian now, Jeff, it is directed by the author of everything, by God. So when I go from heaven or go from different realm, or they are showing me something, now it is their appointment and it's not mine. Yeah, yeah. But I like it, you know why? Because Jeff, before, when during my astral travel, every time I came back to my body, I feel it's been so violated. I feel so gross and disgust. But then now that it is God who really having me, letting me that experience, when the angel, put me back in my room, I saw a glimpse of light, and it feels so different. It's like I don't feel trespass. I feel, like that joy, that love, that peace. Those are the elements that I always feel every time they visit me.
So you're saying that you still astral travel after you became a Christian, but you were led there by God.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that is the right term. In Christian, they have a different term instead of astral travel. It is found in the book of Corinthians, where Paul said that whether I'm in the body or not, I do not know, but I go to this place, things that is unspeakable, that unheard, something like that.
Have you visited heaven? And if so, what did it look like?
There's just really portion of heaven that I visited, but I want to give this account and this testimony last year, Jeff. This one that I visited is, me as a Christian, I do not believe it too. Because when I heard the sword of the spirit in the Bible, I thought it's a metaphor that you use, because a sword of the spirit is basically the word of God. But then um I was taken into the artillery room. There is a weaponry room in heaven. And that is so amazing, Jeff, because um it's actually a connection, but I'm not going to detail with this. But it's a connection when I was got delivered and I saw Israel when I traveled. I saw Israel, during my travel. But it's a connection of that to this one. So in this time, when I went to the weaponry room, Jeff, it is something beyond. Like, it's so beautiful, and the angel that was there doesn't have a wings, but they look very, you know, strong. They have that presence. They carry the presence of good, love, and peace. But they are the kind of angel that you do not want to mess up. They are very, like high ranking. And they told me, today, we are going to give you a new sword. Actually, they said to me, you are in the training. They always say that to me. I think 3 or 4 times now. They always say that every time they ask me to come. They always say, you are in the training. I don't know why, but somehow now I understand. And so if I can describe to you what I saw in that room, Jeff, it's it's like this. On Earth, Jeff, our spoon or our clothes, it will not talk to you, or it doesn't have life, right? That's why we call it non-living things. But in heaven, everything is alive. Like that sword that I saw, not one single of that sword is same. Every single of them is alive, and they are so bright that you can not imagine. They seems like they're speaking to you, and they have that, that details that is you never see on Earth. But I'm not going to really detail how I see on that weaponry room or the heaven, but more of like what I really feel and experience there. Um so I was this sword, Jeff, they are not on the shelf like we have shelves. No. They are just like floating, and they're just, full of life. That's how I can say that. And then when the angel told me, what's in your hand, suddenly something manifests in my hand. And what I saw, Jeff, is I'm holding this sword, for such a long time, and it looks like so small. It has like a crook and chip. It's like it's been to a lot of battle. Like it's a very old sword. And then Jeff, while the angel said that to me, they said we are going to give you a new one. That's what they said. But then they told me, but you need to pass the test. As soon as they said that, we transfer into a place where I saw two roads, very long road. And this is not in heaven now. So in that road, Jeff, something come out. It's like two smoke, dark, and then they became human. One is male, one is female. And they look at each other. And then as soon as the angel said to me, you need to race with them. You have to win. If they win, they will get your reward. As soon as they said that, the race started. I couldn't even process. It was so fast. And I became that light. Like I look like an orb. Like I became that light. And then these two beings became like a shifting shadows. They look like a smoke. And we ran, Jeff, we don't use feet. It's like you like I'm a wind and I'm a light. So while we were running, Jeff, I know how fast we are, like very fast, like a light, because the places we go is zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, like that fast. That's how it is. In that place, there is no time, Jeff. There is no time because I don't know how and when that the race finished. But then I just found out that the race is finished when we come back at the very starting line when I saw the two roads again. And then the angel told me, you won. As soon as he said that, something manifested again in my hand and I saw the reward that the angel talked about. And it's that it looks like a small jug. And so as soon as I receive it, instead of me being happy winning the race, I feel so heavy because I became to understand if I won the race and they will give me a new sword, it means a new battle, a new level of height. But then after that, I was transported again to the ulterior room in heaven. And then they said to me, today we're going to give you the sword. I'm going to give you the full description of the sword that I saw, Jeff. Suddenly the heaviness actually when I came back to that place in heaven, suddenly it started to lift out and I was filled with joy and love again and peace. And then Jeff, this four sword came. And in this four sword, I will describe how they look. The first one, it looks like it's made of white, like pearl, like it looks so refined. And it has that gold that is really beautiful. Like it's just beautiful. And then the second one, Jeff, this sword looks like it made of emerald. It has its inscription, but I don't know what it means. But it looks like this is the best I can describe it. When you see the ocean and the sun is hitting the ocean, so the shimmer and the light of that ocean, that's what this second sword look like. The third one, this is one that I really like. I saw it's made of like diamond. It's like pure crystal, that sword. And there's like those gems that's embedded in there. It is so beautiful. Different level of beauty. And then the last one, Jeff, this one looks like it is weave, but it looks like in human description, it looks like a leather, but it is weave. But the weave just don't happen randomly. It's like the weave of that sword tells a story. That's how detail of it. I like how detail of that. And then this four sword that came to me, when I was about to hold and choose the one, I woke up. But somehow during my ministry and my mission and soul winning with people, I see that it's not something that I just see in dreams. It's something that people always tell me that, you carry this presence. They always say that to me. And you have this light, you have this, that's what people are saying to me now. Going to heaven, to that place, and having this sword. And now, after receiving that, Jeff, I got deep into some revelation more and some miracles that I've seen in my eyes, many times. And that's really a great experience, seeing heaven and just seeing it in reality manifesting in my life. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. After coming to the United States, you've had 5 tragic things happen to you. Can you tell us about that?
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, I was um I was a missionary. That's a closed book chapter, and it's a beautiful thing. And then coming here in America, during my first year here, I got hit by this tragic thing. The first one, Jeff, is my husband's job got shut down. It's been closed. So totally we were homeless that time, and we're just living in my in-laws. The second one, Jeff, my daughter, my first child, she got seizure. And since we were living in the farm, I was screaming and I was so alone and I'm so desperate. Seeing your child, convulsing, I don't know what to do. 911 in my house. That's only I'm watching that in Philippines, but now I'm seeing it in the front of our house. And then the third one, Jeff, is we had an accident in Ohio. And then the fourth one, Jeff, I had miscarriage. We announced this baby to everyone, and I was just feel so sad knowing that I lost that baby. And then the last one, Jeff, my father died. This time I need to go back to Philippines. But these 5 things, Jeff, this is what happened to me. This only happened 2016 in 1 year, and this is what I did at the last blow when my father died. I closed our closet. I go inside, and I was screaming and praising God. I say, I praise you, God, for you are a good, good God. For my situation doesn't depend, your goodness doesn't depend on my situation. I will still praise you even though I feel not the loss, the pain, the death. Even though all these things is happening to me, I will praise you for you are a good, good Father. As soon as that happened, Jeff, this is what happened. God bring that back double, multiple in so amazing way. I never do anything about this. So now my husband job it got open. Not only open, but he got promoted as a manager. He got raised. We are in a very stable place now. Bought a land, a beautiful land. We have a house. Was really just the desire of my my heart, like that house. And then after that, Jeff, my daughter who had a seizure, nothing happened to her. She's actually got advanced in Montessori. She got, I think, she's 3 years old, and her classmate like 5, 6 years old. The teacher said, she got promoted. And then the third one, someone donated to us a truck during the accident, but we never told to anyone we had accident or anything. Someone just donated a truck to us. And then the fourth one, Jeff, I got miscarriage, but God gave me 2 beautiful sons. It kind of really became the joy of my heart. And then the last one, although my father died, Jeff, I saw the influence of, how God changed his life because he was a drug addict being a pastor. And so he won so many souls in the city, which is the hard place to win, in Manila, and crime and everything. So most of the people that that my dad taking care of are homeless, from drug recovery, and so many changed life. And he built you know many ministries and missions in that place. He died actually, Jeff. He's preaching in the pulpit. That's how he died. And so God bring all this back to me. And I think this is the lesson for me, Jeff, that if we are grateful, like those love and blessings, you will attract that because you have that grateful heart. um and at that time, Jeff, like what I said, I never do anything. I believe. I just have that faith. I believe that God is a good God, and He restores everything from beautiful things. So yeah, I'm very grateful until this day.
Sandielyn, after watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Yes,
What's the best way to reach you?
I can give you my Gmail, Sandielyn.Taylor@gmail.com, like my Gmail. Actually, Jeff, I've been catering a lot of shows.
Before we finish up, can you give us one last positive message?
The message that I really wanted to give to the world is, um, there are things in our life that it looks dark and suffering and pain and loss, like what I said. But actually, this is such a privileged moment if we really come to understand that this is the way that we are, fully trained, because we are that precious pearl in the ocean that looks forgotten, and those beautiful gems that hidden in the cave, and those are where it is formed. And through all this, like what I can just give is the message that um come to God, come to your faith and believe that there is this God that really cares so much, in the every details of your life, that from that, happen to us, everything can be restored. You know, um, God can restore everything. And since I'm a Christian, Jeff, my faith is Jesus Christ. And when I come to receive Jesus Christ now, I do not just accept him as my savior. I accept him as my Lord. Because before I just accept him as my savior, and I was still, experiencing many wayward things in life. But as I accept him as my Lord and Savior, that's where things happen and change in my life. So yeah, that's my message. So thank you so much for that, Jeff.
Sandielyn, thank you for that message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.